Great. Joe Seto, Military Intelligence Service. Joseph T. Seto was born and raised in Tacoma, Washington. He was one of 5 Seto brothers to serve during World War II. Joe was incarcerated at Tule Lake in 1942 before moving to Montana to harvest sugar beets. Shortly after, he moved to Minneapolis. He was drafted in 1945 and sent to MIS Language School at Fort Snelling before being transferred to Monterey. After the war, he utilized the GI Bill and began a teaching career at California State University, Los Angeles, where he taught virology and did influenza virus research for 30 years until his retirement in 1989. Joe and his wife Grace live in Los Angeles. Joe turned 95 years old this year, and we are glad to have him with us. Joe Seto. Yoshi Nakamura, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Yoshi Nakamura was born on June 30th, 1925 in Rosemead, California. Along with his family, Yoshi was incarcerated at Gila River before enlisting in the Army Reserves. He was assigned to M Company in the 442nd and later helped break the Gothic line in Italy. After the war, Yoshi taught art at Whittier High School for 11 years before becoming the founding chair of the Fine Arts Department at the newly established Rio Honda College in 1963. He also became a professor, dean, and vice president of Rio Honda College. He remains active in the fine arts, community nonprofits, education-related issues, and raising awareness of the World War II experiences of Japanese Americans and the history of Nisei veterans. Yoshi turned 94 years old earlier this summer. Yoshi Nakamura. Steve Shimizu, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Fumio Steve Shimizu was born April 5th, 1920 on Oahu, Hawaii. He was working as a welder at Pearl Harbor when he witnessed the first attack firsthand. He enlisted in the military in March of 1943 and was assigned to F Company of the 442nd as one of the original members of the unit. He fought in several campaigns with the 442nd before he was wounded during the rescue of the Lost Battalion. After the war, Steve married his wife Dorothy, and they raised the family together in Southern California. He has made it his life's goal to tell the veteran story and has been interviewed and filmed multiple times about his military experience. Steve, who is 99 years old this year, is joined by his son Kerry. Steve Shimizu. Haruo Hayashi, born on January 7, 1926. He was interned in the Gila River Internment Center and was ended up in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. He returned to farming in Arroyo Grande and has recently been awarded and graduated high school with his grandson, Haruo Hayashi. Jack Nagano, Military Intelligence Service. Jack Kiyoshi Nagano was born in Los Angeles, California on June 28, 1918. He was drafted in July 1941, 5 months before the attack on Pearl Harbor. Jack graduated from MIS Language School at Camp Savage in June of 1942. With the MIS, Jack served in the Allied Translator and Interpreter section throughout the Pacific Theater, including Australia, New Guinea, and the Philippines. A lifelong advocate for his fellow Japanese American World War II veterans, Jack helped spearhead the construction of a memorial to J.A. World War II veterans in Washington, D.C. Perhaps most nobly, Jack joins us tonight at 101 years of age. He is escorted by his son David, Jack Nagano. Frank Wada, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Frank Wada was born on July 23, 1921 in Redlands, California. After Executive Order 9066, Frank was incarcerated at Poston in Arizona. He volunteered for the military from Poston and was assigned to E Company of the 442nd. He was wounded during the 442nd's battle to liberate Brières, but remained in the unit until his discharge in December 1945. After the war, he worked as a contract specialist in a San Diego Naval Repair Yard. We're honored to have Frank, who is 98 years old, join us this evening. Frank Wada. Masato Yamaoka, Military Intelligence Service. Masato, or Mas, Yamaoka was born in 1926 and raised in Redondo Beach, California. He's the second of 8 children. His family grew strawberries and Japanese vegetables. His family was forcibly relocated to Santa Anita Detention Center and then to the Rohr incarceration camp in Arkansas. While in Rohr, he was drafted when he turned 18. After basic training, he was sent to Fort Snelling, Minnesota for the MIS language school. As the war ended, Mas was immediately sent to Allied General Headquarters in Japan, adjacent to the Imperial Palace. A longtime resident of Mission Hills, he now lives in Culver City. He is accompanied tonight by Miyako Karagawa, Masato Yamaoka. Don Seki, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Noboru Don Seki was born in Honolulu, Hawaii on December 16, 1923. After Pearl Harbor, Don refused to leave Hawaii and altered his birth certificate so he could enlist in the military despite being only 17 years old at the time. Following basic training at Camp Shelby, Don was assigned to L Company of the 442nd and fought in the campaigns to liberate Italy and France. He was seriously injured after the battle to rescue the Lost Battalion in France. After World War II ended, Seki settled in Southern California with his wife Sumi and currently lives in West Los Angeles. We wish Don, who is 96, a great evening with his family. Don Seki. Fernando Sousa Masuda, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Fernando Sousa Masuda was born in Los Angeles, California on May 26, 1925, to a mother from Mexico and a father from Japan. After graduating from Roosevelt High School in Boyle Heights, Fernando sought to follow in his brother's footsteps and enlist in the military when he turned 18. Only then did Fernando discover his half-Japanese American heritage. He was subsequently assigned to the 442nd with F Company. He completed his basic training at Camp Wheeler, Georgia, before going overseas with the 442nd, where he guarded prisoners of war in Italy. After the war, Fernando returned to Southern California, where he raised a family and enjoyed hobbies such as fishing and playing his harmonica. This past May, Fernando celebrated his 94th birthday. Fernando Sousa Masuda. Ralph Kaneshiro. Isamu Ralph Kaneshiro was born on August 8, 1925 in Maui, Hawaii. He was drafted in May 1945 and underwent 3 months of basic training at the U.S. Army Language School, Japanese Language School at Schofield Barracks on Oahu. He was a member of the Military Intelligence Service and was stationed in Lubbock, Texas, the Philippines, and in Japan during the post-war occupation. He was discharged from the Army in 1946. After his military service, Ralph returned to Japan as a U.S. civil service worker in Tokyo from 1950 to 1952. After the assignment of the war, he returned to Oahu and then moved to California in 1959, where he met his wife Helen. They were married in 1960. Earlier this year, Ralph celebrated his 94th birthday. Ralph Kaneshiro. Ralph Matsumoto, Military Intelligence Service. Ralph Matsumoto was born in Oahu, Hawaii in 1921. After Pearl Harbor, Ralph attempted to volunteer for the military, but was rejected because his shipbuilding skills were needed to repair the boats destroyed during the Pearl Harbor attack. Later on, Ralph was drafted and sent to Fort Snelling, Minnesota for MIS Language School. However, his unit left without him and he was transferred to Fort Lewis, Washington to train with demolition engineers. As the war was ending, he was able to return to Hawaii. He married his wife Amy in 1953 and they have since raised a family. They now reside in Southern California. Ralph is 98 years young and still very active. Ralph Matsumoto. Mas Kodota, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Masao Kodota was born in San Francisco, California on April 12, 1924. He was incarcerated at the Heart Mountain Incarceration Camp and was drafted in June 1944. Mas completed basic training at Camp Shelby and joined the 442nd as a member of E Company. He fought with the 442nd in France and Italy and was awarded a Bronze Star. After the war, Mas settled in Oakland with his wife and children. He remains active with the friends and family of Nisei Veterans Group. This year, Mas celebrated his 95th birthday. Mas Kodota. Lawson Sakai, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Lawson Ichiro Sakai was born in Los Angeles, California on October 27, 1923, and is a graduate of Montebello High School. After being repeatedly denied, Lawson volunteered for the military in 1943 and was assigned to E Company of the 442nd. Lawson was wounded 4 times while serving in France and Italy and the 442nd with the 442nd and received a Purple Heart and Bronze Star. After the war, Lawson operated a travel agency for many years. Lawson is a tireless ambassador for the veteran story. He is active with the friends and family of Nisei Veterans Group and traveled to France earlier this year on a reunion tour. He and his wife, Mineko, reside in Morgan Hill, California. Later this month, Lawson will celebrate his 96th birthday. Lawson Sakai. Yoichi Ichikawa, 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Yoichi Ichikawa was born in Los Angeles, California on April 22, 1921, and is a graduate of Roosevelt High School. Yoichi enlisted in the military from Gila River Incarceration Camp and joined the 442nd Regimental Combat Team as a member of its anti-tank company. He served in campaigns throughout France and Italy with the 442nd, including the rescue of the Lost Battalion and the Gothic Line campaign. After the war, Yoichi returned to Los Angeles and worked in produce. He is also an avid fisherman and enjoyed attending anti-tank company reunions with his wife, Yukiko. This past year, Yoichi celebrated his 98th birthday. Today, he is escorted by his son, Glenn. Yoichi Ichikawa. Tok Yoshihashi, 100th Infantry Battalion. Tokuji Tok Yoshihashi was born in Pasadena, California on January 8, 1923. He attended local schools and graduated from Pasadena City Junior College. In May 1944, Toke was drafted into the U.S. Army while his family remained incarcerated in Gila River, Arizona. After training at Camp Blanding, Florida, he joined A Company of the 100th Battalion and was sent to France. Toke participated in the Gothic Line campaign. In June 1946, he marched down Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C. under the review of President Harry Truman. Toke settled in San Gabriel, California, and worked at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Following his retirement, he remains an active volunteer at the Go for Broke National Education Center. Toke, who is 96 years old, is accompanied by his daughter Pauline. Toke Yoshihashi. Virgil Westell, 522nd Field Artillery Battalion. Virgil Westell was born in 1918 on a farm in Indiana, the fourth of 5 children in the Nishimura family. He was born to a Japanese father and an English-German mother. While attending college, Virgil was interested in flying and received his private pilot's license. After the outbreak of World War II, his commercial pilot's license was revoked because of his Japanese heritage. He legally changed his name to Westdale and joined the Army Air Corps, but was later sent to the 442nd. Near the end of the war, he was transferred to the 522nd Field Artillery Battalion, where he became part of the group of soldiers that liberated Jewish prisoners from the Dachau death camp. After the war, he earned 2 university degrees and received 25 patents, as well as an international award for his scientific work in research and development. Virgil, who is 101 years old, joins us all the way from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He is escorted by his son, Fred. Virgil Westdale. Ken Okune, Military Intelligence Service. Kenjiro Okune was born in Turlock, California on July 3rd, 1923. He volunteered on December 12, 1942 from the Grenada incarceration camp in Colorado. He was sent to the Camp Savage Military Intelligence Service Language School for language training. Ken was sent overseas in January 1944 to the China-Burma-India Theater. Ken served at the Office of War Information. His job was creating propaganda to persuade the Japanese to surrender rather than sacrifice their lives on the battlefield. After the war, Ken settled in Gardena with his wife Alice. He was a founding member of the Go for Broke National Education Center and is still a member of the board of directors. Earlier this year, Ken celebrated his 96th birthday. He was escorted by his daughter Terry. Ken Okune.
What an amazing group of people. Let's give them a round of applause. So we've heard about the great feats that these individuals, as well as many others who participated in World War II, did for us. And we'd like to present them with an award. So to accept an award on behalf of the Nisei veterans, please welcome to the podium Yoshi Nakamura.
Well, thank you very much. You can be seated. I just want to mention how much I and the rest of the men up here appreciate the very good work of the Go for Broke National Education Center. And we're particularly thankful for all the volunteers who keep us with good company, with good food, and with a lot of good programs. I've been fortunate to honor the heroic record of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team and the 100th Battalion, the Military Intelligence Service, the 232nd and the 1399th, and the Women's Army Corps. Similar to tonight, I often hear described us as heroes, and I understand why. But the truth is, before we were heroes, we were simply young Americans wanting to live our lives. Like Tok Yoshihashi from Pasadena, Ken Okuni from Turlock, Sue Kato from Nebraska, and many others, all of whom are here, and others, including myself, from El Monte. We were Americans and we knew it. We did not seek war, but the decision to serve was one that we knew we had to make. Much was changed since the Second World War for us Japanese Americans. Today, people do not despise me or suspect me as an enemy. In fact, I have represented my fellow veterans at the Dodgers and the USC Trojan Games. Today, we are considered loyal Americans. However, we must not forget what has happened to us and our families. We must make sure that this does not happen again to other Americans. I thank the Go for Broke National Education Center for keeping our legacy alive and for honoring all the Nisei or Japanese American soldiers who served during World War II. It warms my heart to know that the story will carry on very well. Thank you.
Cool. We should probably take